Hey, welcome. Today, we're cracking open a really fascinating playbook. It's a framework designed for one thing, creating a movement. We're going to deconstruct its whole strategy, from diagnosing why big changes so often fail to a specific formula designed to make them succeed.
All right, so here's our roadmap. First, we're going to look at the problem that makes change necessary in the first place. Then, we'll dive into the core pattern that this whole thing is built on. After that, we'll tackle the resistance that always pops up and reveal the special formula for breaking through it. And finally, we'll see how this whole blueprint is designed to scale from just one person into a movement that can run itself.
You know, the entire strategy really hinges on this one word, pattern. Think of it like a blueprint or a recipe. The argument here is that massive change doesn't come from some brand new genius invention, but from finding a model that works and then replicating it perfectly. This idea of a repeatable system is the foundation for everything we're about to cover.
Okay, so before we can really appreciate the solution, we have to get a handle on the problem. And the manual frames this problem as a massive, unfinished task.
So the manual points to data like this, and just look at it. For over a century, the global percentage of Christians has been completely flat. Now, this isn't just presented as a statistic, its purpose is to create a really powerful sense of dissatisfaction with the status quo. And that dissatisfaction, that feeling of this isn't working, well, as we're about to see, that is the essential spark for any movement.
So if stagnation is the big problem, what's the solution? Well, the manual argues it's not some new program or a fancy campaign. It's about rediscovering an old, simple, replicable pattern that's all about individual action.
And the absolute core of this pattern is a pretty radical redefinition of the word disciple. See, the traditional idea is you spend years learning first, and then maybe you act later. This model just throws that out the window. Here, a follower is from day one also expected to be making other followers. Being and making aren't two separate steps, they're the same thing, happening at the same time.
And this slide just nails that core shift in thinking. You're moving away from a sequential model. You know, the one where you have to study for years before you're considered qualified to do anything. Instead, it pushes for a simultaneous model. You learn by doing, and you start doing from the moment you begin. It's a huge change.
All right, so let's see how this builds. If this simultaneous pattern is supposedly the key to explosive growth, then what's stopping it? Why isn't it happening everywhere? Well, the manual points to one powerful central obstacle. So the source asks the obvious question, right? And the answer is resistance. It's that natural friction. It comes from big institutions, that we've always done it this way mentality, and it comes from our own personal fear of trying something new. This is the wall that any new movement has to find a way to break through.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. The manual doesn't just name the problem of resistance, it gives you a specific, almost mathematical formula for understanding it and, more importantly, for overcoming it. This is the tactical heart of the entire strategy.
It's called the change formula, and you can think of it like a tool for generating enough momentum to push past all that friction that holds new ideas back. Let's break down its 4 key parts.
So first up, you absolutely need genuine dissatisfaction. This is the why of any change. You know, psychologically, if people are comfortable, if they don't feel that the current way is unacceptable, there's just no motivation. There's no urgency to do anything different.
But see, dissatisfaction by itself just leads to a lot of complaining. So it has to be paired with a clear, compelling vision of a better alternative. This gives you direction. People need to see not just what they're running from, but the amazing future they're running towards. A big, grand vision can feel totally impossible, right? And that's why this third element is so crucial. You need concrete, achievable first steps. This is all about empowerment. It makes the vision feel real. It gives people immediate wins. And that builds the momentum you need to keep going. And finally, these 3 things don't just magically combine on their own. They have to be activated and held together by courageous leadership. This is the catalyst. It's the human engine that's willing to push through the tough spots and rally everyone else when that initial energy starts to fade. And here's the kicker, the crucial point. It's not enough for these 4 elements just to exist. Their combined force, all of them added together, has to be greater than the natural resistance to change. If any one of these factors is a 0, or even just too weak, the whole effort is probably going to stall out. And here it is, the whole formula right there on your screen. Dissatisfaction plus vision plus first steps plus courageous leadership has to be greater than resistance. What's so powerful about this is that it's a diagnostic tool. If change isn't happening, you can literally ask, is our dissatisfaction too low? Is our vision unclear? Are the first steps missing? Or is our leadership failing?
So, once you use the change formula to break through that initial resistance, what's next? Well, the manual lays out a super clear, repeatable process to follow. They call it the Disciple-Making Movement, or DMM, journey.
This journey works in a 4-part cycle. It starts with consecrate, where a person builds their own core habits. Then they catalyze action by going out and engaging their community. As people start to join, the focus shifts to commit, where you guide these new followers. And finally, you get to the congregate phase, where these new followers form their own independent groups, ready to be released to start the whole cycle over again themselves.
And this leads us to the ultimate goal of this entire framework. See, the point isn't just to add a few new people here and there. It's about creating a system that multiplies exponentially all on its own.
The whole system is built for a cascading, domino-like effect. The idea is that every single person who goes through this journey doesn't just end up as a follower, they become a trainer. They become capable of mentoring the next wave, creating a movement that can sustain itself and just keep on growing.
The manual actually points to this chain of mentorship as the perfect model. You have Barnabas training Paul, who then trains Timothy, who is then told to find other faithful people to train, who would then go on and train others. You see it? It's a perfect illustration of that multi-generational transfer of knowledge and leadership.
And really, it all comes down to this one simple but incredibly powerful principle. Start the way you want to end. So if your goal is a movement that multiplies, you have to build multiplication into the process from the very first day. You can't just tack it on at the end and hope it happens. The DNA of the outcome has to be there in the very first step. So, we'll leave you with that to think about. This whole playbook is built on that one idea. Build your end goal into your first step. So, whatever change you want to make, what's your ultimate goal? And more importantly, is its DNA present in how you're starting today? Thanks for tuning in.